Andy's around, I'm gonna act like I'm working, and then as soon as he leaves, I'm checking out.
I'm sure there's some of that, right?
Yeah, I'm sure it's some.
It's human nature, and I'm very real with them.
Yeah,
I'm very, very real.
You don't
with
BS.
Them. No,
I know you don't.
I don't BS with them. I said, look, I get it. You want to hang out on your phone, Instagram, but remember, your family eats from this.
Mm-hmm.
You can't get a check if you don't do your job. Mm-hmm. The person picking up the phone matters. Everyone in this organization matters towards the bigger vision of this, of this organization. So I kick it with them. I say, look, I get it. Sometimes we lose.
You've been there.
I've been there. You want to go take the 2-hour lunch? I've been there. But sometimes, we call it going back to the basics. We refocus again. At the beginning of the year, we always talk about this with the team. And, we give a lot of incentives. We do a lot of things to get them re-engaged. Look, they're never going to treat the business the way I treat it. They're not the business.
Of course not. It's your baby.
That's my baby, right?
Yeah.
But if you treat them well, if you understand where they're coming from, then you'll get the best out of them.
Welcome, guys, to 31 Vision Podcast, episode 2. So if you watched episode 1, we had a quick introduction as to our why, how we started, all that good stuff. Today, we're bringing a business owner, a friend of mine, that he's taking time out of his day to talk about what he does, give some insight on college, and so much more. So, Andy, if you can introduce us.
Well, thank you for having me. Very excited for your new venture in podcasting. I think it's great to get your message out, to get your brand out. So you're doing some great things. I learned a lot from your first episode.
Awesome.
So, you got my support 100%.
Awesome.
Going forward. So a little bit about me. My name is Andy Hernandez, and I've been in healthcare since I was 19 years old. Started from the bottom, worked my way through the whole, spectrum of healthcare. And today I own multiple businesses in healthcare and, doing a lot of things.
Awesome.
Busy.
Doing a lot of things. That's a very modest way of putting it. Doing a lot of things. So, all right. So sports, right? That's how we came together, flag football.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about sports a little bit. What'd you play? How long?
So sports has been my foundation. I've been playing sports since I was 5 years old. Started with baseball.
Nice.
Yeah, and then got into football, played basketball, played a little bit of all. Wasn't great at any of them, but
but you loved them all.
I loved them all. I was actually pretty decent at baseball. I wasn't bad.
Okay.
I had a few scholarship offers throughout the Midwest and, far away.
Gotcha.
But yeah, sports is, I run my companies with a lot of the principles that sports apply. It's no different than running a team.
Let's start there. So that's a perfect segue. So how would you feel specifically? How has sports, taught you to be a better businessman or how to run a business?
Well, seeing my coaches throughout the years and how they coached everyone differently, I think is very important in business. As a leader, as a business owner, you lose sight of that. And there's different rules for different players. Different players get coached differently. Different players get coached differently.
Different personalities.
So you got to figure out what makes them click. What gets them going.
Yeah.
Some you can press, some you can't. Some you need to know you need to know them personally. You need to have a personal relationship. There's different ways of challenging people to get the best out of them. And that's when you become a very, very good leader. And that's how you're able to scale a business. Without that, you can't scale a business, in my opinion. And I take it, we have 300 employees in my company. Yeah. It's
a lot of personalities.
I probably know most of them. There's some I haven't met. We continue to hire and all that. But I try to have a personal relationship with them. I try to know who they are, what are their interests, things like that. And I try to get to know them on a personal level. And our success rate when it comes to people not leaving is very high.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we don't lose people.
That's the work environment.
Yeah.
That's the one you set.
Yeah, culture. Sure. Culture is everything in business, and sports has taught me the culture.
Awesome. And then you also, you went over 2 really important topics there. One is reaching the individual, but then there's still 300 individuals. So now you got to make that also work. So it's not just you reaching that one person and making them, because it's one thing to do your job as best as you can. And it's a whole other thing to make sure everyone does their jobs the best they can together.
Right.
That's a lot more complicated than it sounds.
It's very tough. Very tough. You got to have a vision, and the people that are below you got to see that vision. They got to buy into that vision. And that's how it resonates across the organization. But it starts at the top. The vision starts at the top, and then you have to, translate it through the whole entire organization and make sure that everyone buys in. And the ones that don't buy in, unfortunately, you got to get them out of the way, because you cannot have a person that does not buy into the vision. It becomes a cancer, and you got to get rid of them. Unfortunately, that's
Energy's-
just business. Energy is everything.
Energy's contagious, man.
Yeah,
Whether it's
absolutely.
positive or negative, for
Correct.
sure. You can have one player on a team, the same we just said. You can have one player on the team just nagging all the time. Oh, this workout's too tough. Oh, it's too much. That can get passed on to other players versus the same scenario, but backwards, right? One player, everyone's dying, and one player is like, yo, we just have one more. We just have this many reps. And that courage that, that brings people together, going through adversity together. So I can see how like that one person, whether it's good or bad, can really affect a work environment for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It's everything.
Do you have a specific random question? Do you have a specific timetable to see if something works or not in business or with relationships, or it's just kind of like you feel it out kind of thing? Or
I learned something from one of my mentors in business. And we can get into this later, but his name is Leo, and we used to run a small agency in Miami. That's how I first started as a partner in a home health agency. I started in leadership, but he told me, he taught me that a business starts asking you for certain things, and the business is going to take you where you need to go. Now it's your job as an owner, as a leader, to listen to that and to understand that and to have the intuition to be able to move when that happens. And ever since he's told me that, it made a lot of sense to me. And going through the progression of how we've grown in the past 6 years, the business will start asking for certain things. Now, as a leader, as an owner, you have to pay attention to it and make a decision. Okay, it's asking for this. We need to do it, or we need to move forward, or we need to get this person out of the way. So as time goes on, you start learning these things as a business owner and as a leader.
you're very good at like vaguely brushing over hard stuff.
Right.
So that's a lot of judgment calls. You just went over like, oh, I got to do this. I got to do that. That's a lot of hard stuff to decipher in that moment.
Right.
And intuition, whether it's in different aspects of life or business, like that's something that people pay to learn.
Yeah.
Like what to do in those split second decisions, I
want to add to that. I've made mistakes.
Of course.
It's not that I've made a decision that have all turned out great. I've made a lot of mistakes in this business.
Sure.
But one of the things I personally don't do is live in the past.
Nice.
I just can't live in the past. So we make a decision, we go with it, we live with it, we die with it. It's fine. And I tell our group all the time, it's okay making mistakes. That's how we get better. That's how we learn. You learn by losing. You don't learn by winning.
Nice.
And that's just life in general. Anything in life, you have to lose to understand why this happened, how are we going to get better from it, and how do we grow from it? And that's the only way you can grow anything in life. And in business, that's the foundation of a business.
Yeah. And you touched on a topic that we talked about in episode 1. So if you haven't seen episode 1, check it out. The value of a participation trophy, losing, how important it is. I'm glad you went over that because I feel the same way. You have to be able to lose. And also another thing too that people don't know about business, at least in my personal, because my business is into the business of people as well.
Right.
People are hesitant to give you positive feedback, but they'll be quick to give you that bad stuff. Yo, hey, you need to improve this, or this was really bad, or da-da-da. So that negative feedback is what you need to build on, those mistakes you were touching up on. So I know that can definitely be huge. So another topic I want to touch on. So coming out of high school, so what was your train of thought, right? What did you want to do? Did you want to go to college? Did you want to start your business? Did you just want to play baseball, a mixture of all three?
So the baseball thing, I knew I wasn't going to play in the bigs. I knew that, my baseball career was only going to take me as far. My mom was having health related issues. Okay. I didn't know, I wasn't sure if I wanted to leave. I didn't have the right guidance at the time to figure out which way, I wanted to go.
Gotcha.
But I always knew that I was going to be an entrepreneur. Like I would sit in, the circles with my friends, my baseball teammates, and we're all talking about what we're going to do after. And they're like, well, I'm going to go to school to be a teacher. I'm going to go with this. I'm like, yeah, I'm just going to own a business. And they're like, well, no, you need to do something. I go, okay, I'll go to school and try it out, but I'm going to own a business one day. And they would laugh at me. They're like, oh, you're crazy. And I said, well, I might be crazy, but that's what I want to do. And, I went to school. I went to college. I went for about 2 years. And I started realizing sitting there, and I was like, this is not for me. I just wasn't paying attention, and I had a learning disability too.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I don't think it was a learning disability. I just didn't have interest in anything school had to offer me.
I hear that.
I understood that it was an institution. This is what society wanted you to do. And I understood that at a very early age. But I sat in school and I'm like, man, they're trying to take my money. That's how I felt.
No, I didn't notice it was too late, you know.
So I understood that. I took out like a $5,000 loan because I wanted to go. I forgot where I went, spring break somewhere, and I used the $5,000 for that. But I paid it back. No, I realized it. And I dropped out, and I got called crazy. I got called ignorant. I got called a bunch.
Yeah, you went against the grain.
I went against the grain,
of course.
But I knew it was going to happen. I just didn't know how it was going to happen. But inside of me, I had this conviction inside of me that one day I was going to own a business. And I had some good opportunities. Look, my brother gave me a hell of an opportunity. I've been able to grow the business with my family, my 2 sisters, which I love immensely, and my brother. So it's been a family thing. And I put a quote the other day about it takes a village to be successful. You just can't be a lone wolf doing things,
For sure.
So it's been a combination of things. But I've had some luck along the way, But, every door that's opened up, I've taken the opportunity and ran through it. But I've always seen myself as an entrepreneur.
That's awesome. Yeah. I really feel like, just like in sports, how players are a reflection of their coach. Right. I think a business owner, since you have so many people beneath you, the team that you hire is a reflection of you. They care about the details. They care about, there's a reason why you have such a great work environment. If you didn't care about that process, your business wouldn't be where it's at right now.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. Yeah.
And then in sports, it's the same thing. Like if a coach is kind of like, oh, I don't care about discipline, then you get 5 flags, 10 flags thrown in a game, and the team looks like it's a mess.
Right.
Then there's some coaches that like the players might not be as talented, but they're extremely disciplined and they follow the game plan. They buy in, and then one team that has no business being in a game with another team beats that team, and you're like, how? This team is so talented. So definitely leadership, like those fundamentals that sports brings to life, I think is so huge. And I tell a lot of parents in 31 Vision, your kid does not have to be a phenom, like the next LeBron, the next Federer, the next whatever, you know what I'm saying? Just being able to work well with others, being able to work towards a common goal. Something that Jason and I spoke about in episode 1 is working with people you don't like. That is a skill you need to have once you become an adult. And I feel like sometimes school doesn't really prepare you the best for certain life lessons, which is a perfect segue to talk about college, right? So you said you dropped out of college. You're still a successful businessman. We said some negatives. Do you think there are some positives to college besides, how it affected you personally?
I do. I think that the networking, the people that you meet in college is huge. I've met some people and I still have relationships with those people. So that's huge. Look, if you're going to be a doctor, a lawyer, you're going to have some type of skill. Yeah, you need school for that type of stuff.
Yeah, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
And we need teachers in this world. We need good teachers in this world to teach our young ones, and bring them along through the process. I'm just saying, as an entrepreneur, if you want to own a business, school's not the place. Look, I went back to school because I started doing well as a sales rep, right? And I was like, okay, I want to take this to the next level. I want to own my own business. I need to go back to school and get my business degree. That was my thought process. So I go back to school. I enroll back and I start, pursuing my business degree, and I get a business 101 class. I forgot the name of the business class, but whatever. So we're sitting in class and I already had some business experience and being around some very successful people. And the guy starts going off about business the first day. And I raised my hand. I said, hey, how many businesses have you ran in your life? He goes, well, I've been a professor here my whole time. I really haven't ran a business. I said, inside of me, I wasn't going to embarrass the guy. I'm like, okay, buddy, you're going to teach me about business?
Right.
You've never ran one in your life?
Right.
Yeah. So, it
doesn't add up.
Yeah, so I went through the class. I got an A in that class, probably the first day I've ever had in college. It made us put a business plan together, run a business, and I turned it into a multi-million-dollar business in year 3. It was a whole thing. But I dropped out right after. I was like, really? I don't need this stuff.
Even with a double check, you still didn't pass the vibe check?
Nope.
No. I hear that.
You got to go through it, man. You got to go through it. School does not teach you the situations that happen in business. Does not. Just doesn't.
Such a great segue. You're doing a great job giving me stuff that we'll talk about here. So like what we're saying, we're not saying that college is not for everyone. We're saying it is for everyone. You have to be able to read between the lines. And part of that battle is knowing what you want to do for your career. Now, on average, people change their majors in college, 2, 3, 4 times. So don't feel bad if you end up changing your major. Don't feel bad about that. Now, like Andy just touched on, if you go into certain careers, you get your bachelor's, right? Then right after that, where do you start? From zero. So you have to get those life experiences anyways. Yeah. But then the catch-22 is, how do you get the job? You need to have a bachelor's on your resume. Right. If not, they don't let you in. But it doesn't move you up in any way. You still start from the bottom regardless. There are plenty of success stories of people, coaches in professional like NFL, NBA, that they started as the film guy or a ball boy or like something like that. And then they moved up in the organization without getting any, as far as I know, from an outsider's perspective, any education on that topic.
Right.
You know, so I definitely agree with you. There's some careers that you don't necessarily need. You just need life experiences and a great mentor.
Yeah, you got to learn your industry. You got to start. Look, a lot of things that I see with young people is that they want to start at the top and they don't want to go through the process.
They don't want to take the L's.
They don't want to take the L's. Look, I first started. So let me run you through how I started in healthcare. I first started delivering DME with my brother. He calls me one day. He's like, hey, I got this crazy idea. I want to start doing medical equipment. I say, what the hell do you know about medical equipment? He goes, I don't know. We're going to figure it out. That's how my family is. Like, we just figure it out. We're going to do it. You know, so he goes, you're going to be my delivery guy. I said, all right, you got a delivery van? He goes, no, you're going to do it out of your car.
Oh.
So I had a Kia Optima, right? Okay. I'm putting concentrators, wheelchairs, however they fit. And we started that way. That's how I started. You know, that's how I started learning. And we started, you know, driving everywhere. And, you know, he started picking up business. And we went from a Kia Optima to a Sequoia. We didn't even have a van yet. Okay. So we started, you know, figuring it out. But that's how I started. And then from there, you know, we ran into some issues with the business. It started struggling. My brother was struggling. So I told him, I said, look, take me off the payroll. I'm going to go back to school and I'm going to take a job at Baptist Hospital because I got a job at Baptist as a transporter and MRI. So I transported patients for about a year. And then a year later, I got a job in the ICU as a medical tech. You know, it wasn't the best job in the world. You know, I had to work nights. I had to clean poop. It was a bunch of stuff that I had to do with that.
Did you choose that because it was in the medical profession and you wanted to learn some other stuff, or you just needed to get that paycheck now just for a little bit, like temporarily?
I started seeing the money that was in healthcare. I'll be honest. I started seeing the money that was in healthcare. Okay. And I started understanding, okay, this is going to be my path. If I learn this is where I'm going to go. So I wanted to learn everything about healthcare. So I learned how to work in a hospital. I learned patient care in a hospital. So that's resonated into my business, you know. So I worked in an ICU. I've seen, you know, multiple people die. Unfortunately, I had to bag people. It was a very eye-opening experience for me. And then I learned the, you know, the values of hard work. I worked from 7P to 7A. People don't know this about me. They think that I just got to the top. It didn't work like that.
It's because you're humble, man. It's because you're modest and you're humble and you don't talk about yourself much. I've known you for years and we've never talked about this, you know? So that's a great trait you have, but I'm glad that you came on to talk about this stuff because like, just like myself, I'm a friend of yours, like strangers out there are going to be like, wow, man, like, he's so successful. But if they go to your Instagram, they'll be like, oh, he just has those multiple locations and he just got that. No, like you worked for it, you know?
Took a lot of hard work.
So yeah, man. So all of us, myself included, appreciate you sharing your story because people don't talk about like adversity enough, you know, like once we get to a certain level, you're like, yo, look, I got my house, I got the car, I got this, I got that. But nobody knows the backstory.
And none of that stuff matters. I see people doing that all the time.
Yeah.
You'll never know what I have.
Yeah.
I don't talk about it.
Yeah.
I want to share my knowledge and try to help you become better because I have a lot of it. I've been 20 years at this. You know what I'm saying? People don't, I'm young still in relative terms, but I've been 20 years in one industry.
Yeah.
And think about that.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of knowledge. I have a lot of understanding how things work. And I've gotten to the point now, I'm trying to do, I'm trying to have more of a presence on social media because I feel that I've gotten to a point in my career where I can start sharing my knowledge. And I'm open. I tell people, just call me.
Yeah.
Reach out to me. I might not pick up, but if you send me an email, you send me a text, I will answer you.
Yeah.
You know, I'm all about that because a lot of people help me through the process, you know, can't forget where you came from. And that 100%. Word humility, that's the oxygen right there. That's the oxygen.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of people they put all their eggs in a certain basket and they base it on someone that they don't even know.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, but if they can get it from someone that they're going to tell you the nitty gritty, the ins and outs, because a lot of people charge for their knowledge. You're trying to give this for free.
Yeah.
You're just trying to help.
Yep.
And that little difference right there, I think is something that our society needs more of, you know, to help people to come up and stuff. And that's what 31 Vision is about, man. So I'm so glad you're sharing your knowledge.
You got to pay it forward, my man.
You do?
You got to pay it forward.
You do.
Yep.
All right. So what are some surprises in your line of work that you think sports helped you prepare for? Like being under that turmoil.
I've been getting my ass kicked by the government.
It goes back to the L's. Okay. Okay.
I mean, it's regulation after regulation. You think that you've reached this mountaintop and then here they come again and they hit you across the head. And
what do you mean, like fees?
Not fees.
Or just rules, laws?
Rules, laws, change of pavement.
Oh my God.
It's a whole bunch of things that could be a whole different episode.
Right, I bet.
That we can get into. But, I've had my down moments. I've had moments where I'm like, am I doing the right thing?
Yeah.
Am I in the right business? And it's been some dark places sometimes. And that's the part of entrepreneurship people don't realize. It's a very, very lonely place.
Trial and error.
Trial and error. Thank God I've had my brother Zeus that's been by my side through this whole process.
Yeah.
And my sister Chantal and Marlene and my wife. I mean, my wife that have been there. But I can see, I like to talk to them about what's going on. But I can see where it's very lonely for an entrepreneur. It is a very lonely place. So yeah,
I have spoken to Blue about that.
Yeah, it is a very, very lonely place. So yeah, I've had some struggles. I've had some challenges. But like I tell our team, we're still here.
Yeah.
We're still here.
Thriving.
We figured it out.
Yeah.
We figured it out. So it's made me stronger as a leader going through all that because I feel like I could take anything on,
That touches on something that I can relate to for sure personally. So for those of you that don't know, quick backstory. Yeah. So in Division 2, right? In Division 2, your eligibility is by full-time semesters. So 12 credits or more. So if you take 9 or less towards your Division 2 eligibility, it does not count. So that's how I got my GPA up when my GPA was terrible.
Right.
I came back to Miami-Dade, got my GPA up, whatever. So in Division 2, I played my junior year. I took the spring semester off because I had 1 semester left. I saved it for football. So my coach tells me, you need this many credits. He said 3. I took 6 or 9. A week, I'm there all summer with a coach that does not like me. He became the defensive coordinator. He was the linebacker coach. He became the D coordinator, someone that we openly disliked each other. I'm like, how am I going to get this starting job back with this guy running the helm? Anyways, so I stay all summer. I live in Miami. I love Miami. I'm in the middle of nowhere in North Carolina. So it's a sacrifice, right. No fun, all work. But I went to there for the summer to show my coach, I'm serious about this. I'm going to ball out my senior year. This is what I'm going to do. He moves my position over to another position. During camp, I went from 3rd string to 1A, 1B, fighting with the guy that's been there for 3 years. Okay. A week before that season starts, the coach pulls me. I'll never forget this. He pulls me in. We're doing a workout. I'm feeling great. I got voted to be a captain that year. I was on a high. Wow. I'm like, I'm going to take this guy's position. I don't care. They're voting me to be a captain. The coach calls me into the office. He goes, sit down. Immediately, I'm like, what's wrong? What's going on? He goes to me, you don't have enough credits to play. Your senior year is done.
Wow.
Just like that.
Wow.
So why am I saying this? You talked about how adversity, you feel like you can get through anything. That was the lowest moments of my life. I felt like everything led to this moment. I'm like, I'm going to take full advantage of this. I got my grades up. I've been through so many bad coaches that like I've overcome all the adversity, and then boom, like just watching them be in the cafeteria, get their pregame meals. I would tear up, like watching them walk to the bus. I'm like, that's my team. I was here all summer grinding with them boys. Like this is my defense. I was there. And that was the most pain I've ever had to go through in my life. But since that moment, that was 2017, 2018, New Year's, I was back here at home. I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I was like, if I can get through that, if I can come out of that hole, I can get through anything. You know what I'm saying? So there's definitely lessons.
How long did it take you to get through that process?
That whole semester?
I'm sure it still haunts you, right?
I was at peace with it because I did everything possible to do it, because I stayed all summer. For example, if I wouldn't have stayed all summer, if I would have done some things differently, I would have haunted myself, but I literally did everything right. I got straight A's when I needed to. It was just someone messed up, took my senior year away. There's nothing I can do about it. I didn't even want to graduate. I wanted to leave. Wow. I had 1 semester left. Of course you're going to graduate. I was in so much pain. I was like, I don't want to be here. Like, I didn't talk to anybody almost that entire semester. Like, I was hoodie on, headphones, like F off.
Right.
Like people wouldn't even talk to me, like close friends.
Right.
I'm like, I'll give them this death stare. Like, don't even talk to me. And I'll eat by myself in the cafeteria. And you know me, I'm a social person. I was off. I was just turned off.
I can imagine.
But it took me a long time. It took me months. It took me that whole semester. I got home. I was still down, and then I used New Year's as like that's it. Stop feeling sorry for yourself. You graduated. That's a huge thing for your family. You're the first one to do it in your family. You got to play ball. I started going from like, oh my God, poor me, to look
at the positives.
Yeah, just be optimistic. Whatever. This is what happened to you. Yeah. What are you going to do? Yeah. You're not a pro athlete, but you still want to run a nonprofit. What are you going to do? And 31 Vision started. Yeah. So someone else doesn't go through the pain that I went through. as an athlete. So that's definitely going back to the lows teaches you vital lessons.
I think that you need to appreciate the process, good or bad, good or bad. And
it's a lot of bad.
And advice to young people is have patience with the process. If you don't have patience with the process, good or bad, you're never going to get to where you need to go to. And that was big of you. You're still a very young guy and young in that moment to say, okay, all right, let's look at the positive. And I feel that a lot of young people don't look at life that way.
It goes back to the self-pity thing. Give yourself a day, a week, whatever. But after a certain moment, you have to be like, all right, it happened.
It happened.
It happened. I'm going to have to move on. The same thing you do with your business. Something, the government cracked down on you. You're like, what are we going to do? Shut down?
Right.
You're not going to shut down your business. You got to try to maneuver, trial and error,
Figure it out.
So I definitely feel you on that. So you're getting established, right? You're overcoming this adversity. The government can't even stop you,
They could always stop you. They haven't stopped us yet.
So what, in your opinion, that you even went back to school to learn more, like what, in your opinion, took the roads to the next level? What do you think it was? What got you like from a good business to a great business?
I'll tell you what, and it comes straight to mind, the people that we have, the team that we have. I tell them all the time and they think that I'm full of it, but without them, we're nothing. We're nothing. I'm nothing without those people that believe in the vision, that believe in the organization. They are the ones that have carried us to where we're at today. When we acquired the roads in 2016, it was 7 patients. Today we're close to 800, and we should hit 1,000 by first quarter of next year.
You will.
We will, and that's the people. I can't do this alone. I tell them all the time, this is not a one-man show.
You touch on a good point. So that right there, that work environment is the difference between a productive work environment versus I get in at 9, I'm going to take my break at 12. I only have to work for an hour. Like, they're already trying to like find little shortcuts to give you like maybe a few hours of work versus an environment where people really buy into your vision. I guarantee you they give you what they got.
Yeah.
They don't just, Andy's around, I'm going to act like I'm working. And then as soon as he leaves, I'm checking out.
I'm sure there's some of that, right?
Yeah, I'm sure it's some.
It's human nature. And, I'm very real with them.
Yeah.
I'm very, very real.
You don't
with
BS.
Them. No,
I know you don't. I
don't BS with them. I said, look, I get it. You want to hang out on your phone, Instagram, but remember, your family eats from this. You can't get a check if you don't do your job. The person picking up the phone matters. Everyone in this organization matters towards the bigger vision of this, of this organization. So I kick it with them. I said, look, I get it. Sometimes we lose.
You've been there.
I've been there. You want to go take the 2-hour lunch? I've been there. But sometimes, we call it going back to the basics. We refocus again. At the beginning of the year, we always talk about this with the team. And, we give a lot of incentives. We do a lot of things to get them re-engaged. Look, they're never going to treat the business the way I treat it. They're not the business.
Of course not. It's your baby.
That's my baby, right?
Yeah.
But if you treat them well, if you understand where they're coming from, then you'll get the best out of them. And I think a lot of businesses lose sight of this. And organizations lose sight of this, and they want to run a factory. And a business is it's about the people.
Yeah.
It's not a factory. And until you don't figure that out, you'll never, you can probably scale a business, but I don't know. I don't find that gratifying to me.
So having personal relationships, making sure that people believe in the vision.
Yeah.
I'm sure those are 2 vital points to running a successful business. That's something that I had to learn very fast with 31 Vision. I'm like, I can't do this by myself. Right. And there's no way. There's no way, bro.
There's not enough hours in the day.
I was like, what was I thinking? I was like, before 2018 finished, guys, I was like, what was I thinking trying to do this by myself? Because I'm still trying to like put food on my table to eat. And I'm like, I have to get these donations. I'm like, how do people do this by themselves? They don't.
You can't.
They have a team.
You can't. I mean, you'll realize it. As you're trying to grow anything in life, you start realizing you need people. If you don't have people, you can't grow anything. So,
and this is an interesting topic for me personally because of post-COVID.
Right.
So I feel like this is the laziest I've ever seen a society. I've lived in Miami most of my life. So to me, Miami's always been like a hustler. Everyone tries to make it however they can. And there's millions of people, but there's always the land of opportunity. And then after COVID, I feel like everyone's like, I don't want to work. Or there's so many help needed signs. Like, how are you struggling to put food on the table? But there's help needed signs everywhere.
I'll tell you my position on it. When you inject 40% of the total money that's out there in 2 years, and everybody's sitting on cash, it creates a sense of entitlement and they don't have to go back to work. The money's going to run out.
Yep.
right? And you're starting to see it. I'm starting to see it. So they're going to have to get their asses back to work.
Yeah.
And that's, the laziness is going to be over soon. But the amount of money that was injected into the United States during those 2 years was crazy. Look at it. Look at the stats.
And I would have never have seen our society being impacted in such a negative way. Like, I saw only the positive. Look, people are getting helped out in a tough situation. That's great. And then things went back to normal and a lot of things changed. I don't know if I'm the only one that feels that way, but I've never seen, since I was a kid, since I can remember, I've never seen so many help wanted signs, so many. And all my friends that are business owners have told me like, yo, it's really hard to find good employees, like good work. So you're coming here talking about having a great team. That's a blessing.
It is a blessing.
And it goes back to what? I'm guessing the hiring process too?
Yeah, the hiring process, the people that have been with us here since day one, we don't have turnover. I mean, it's very rarely that we have turnover.
What a blessing.
If I have to put a percentage on, it's probably 2-3% a year.
Wow.
On turnover. It's crazy.
Wow.
But through this process during COVID, it's been a challenge. Look, we have a company called Compassionate Caring. It's another home health agency in Broward. And we hired a director of nursing, a case manager, and I believe it was a receptionist. All was supposed to start on a Monday. All hired, didn't show up.
That's ridiculous.
How crazy is that?
And you hear stories about that like often.
Yeah, often. And it's happened multiple times. I think that you have to be, there are people out there in the labor force, but now, and it's one of the reasons why I'm so active right now on social media is I'm trying to create HR awareness for our business. Understand, so, I'm trying to get our message out there that we're a great company to work for, that we have a culture, that
It's a great selling point.
Yeah, that we're about our teammates, about our employees. So I think as a business, you have to start getting creative and getting your messaging out there. It's not, oh, you know what? I'm going to put Indeed an application now and hope to get the employee or whoever you're trying to recruit to your organization. Now you got to get who you are out there.
Yeah.
And social media is a great platform for that.
I've told Blue, if you don't know who Blue is, my girlfriend. All right. So I've told Blue multiple times, like joking around, but I'm really going to start doing it.
Right.
A great way for me to promote myself. I'm on time. I let you know if something's not going to work. I'm very flexible with hours and like I do what I say I'm going to do.
I live by
that. That tends to, like, nowadays, that you would think that's like a prerequisite to owning a business and providing a service, but nowadays that's not guaranteed anymore. Yeah. You can pay for something and the person's like, oh no, I'm not going to be there. Or sometimes you don't even get a phone call. Like I don't get how this has been the social norm of people being unreliable. Like all I gotta say is, hey, I'm reliable, hire me. Right. And like, that's more than like other people,
It's a sense of entitlement. It's a society that we live today. But you know what? They're going to get their ass kicked. That's how, history keeps repeating itself and they'll get their ass kicked and the next generation will be better for it. So,
And one thing I will say, don't let this discourage you. If you're one of those people like Andy or myself, that we do work hard and we are different from most people, we're reliable, I would say promote yourself and say that to like potential customers. Like, look, listen, we have this cancellation policy, or we have, like sell the part that makes you trustworthy. Cause I feel like trust is a big thing, especially in the medical field.
100%.
They're putting a lot of trust in you guys.
It's all trust.
For me, it's not as big of a scale. It's just you're getting healthy, but health is like, that's big trust factor.
Absolutely.
And I think with a brand, if you trust it, that's half the battle with your customers for sure. So it's definitely something that I think will have business owners rise to the top, is being reliable, having that great work environment, and just.
But you got to promote it. You got to be out there talking about it.
Yep.
If you're not, how are you going to get to the masses?
I got to follow my own advice. Yeah.
How are you going to get to them?
Yep.
I made that realization. I've been reading a lot, listening to a lot of podcasts, and I'm like, I know the people are out there. I know our competitors have these people. How do I get them into our organization? I said, I gotta get our message out there. One of the reasons why I took this podcast, obviously I want to help you, but I want to get our message out there about we are a great company. Come work with us.
Right.
You'll see it for yourselves. Right. So,
and I'm sure there's a lot of people that know you, like myself. They're like, wow, like now I know what he does, like the nitty gritty, what he brings to the table, like how passionate he is about it. Like that's his baby. It's not just like some company,
right?
And I think that matters to people.
Absolutely. Absolutely. One last point on this. I know you want to move on to the next one, but
no worries.
People are tired of corporate America. One of
just being a cog in the machine.
Yeah, exactly. They're tired of it. They want to get behind the small business, the mom and pop ran business. They want to get behind those family owned business because they understand that there is a passion behind what they're doing. It's just not about the numbers. You know what I'm saying?
And also their business means so much more to you.
Right.
Like let's say I'm gonna throw a random brand out there. Let's say like Publix, you know. I don't know anybody. You just ones and zeros. But if I'm a mom and pop's grocery store, I'm going to appreciate every single person that walks through there. So I get what you're saying.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you see it in my business, hospitals have their own home care agencies in this town. We're the number 2 provider and the biggest healthcare provider in South Florida as a home care. When I was told you can't go in there because they're not going to send you the business and yada, 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 all the excuses that you hear, we're the number 2 provider. And it's been like that for years. Why? Because they understand what it means to us to serve these seniors in this community. They understand that. The people that we do business with understand that our heart is in it. When you look at a corporate, organization like these big hospitals, their heart sometimes is not in. It's too many layers. It's hard for them. I don't even blame them. It's just the machine is so big that they can't control it.
And another thing too, I think is, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like the bigger companies, they look at a piece of paper, they're like, how can we cut costs? And they try to like not have as many hired people for certain jobs, and they try to like overload one person with a certain job. I feel like, correct me if I'm wrong, when you hire, I feel like you want to have a better team to better service the people versus someone having a huge company, but like, we can take this person out of here and we're saving this much money here. And I feel like
look at it that way. That's funny. A lot of companies do look at it that way. During COVID, one of the proudest things I've ever, we've been able to accomplish, we didn't lay anyone off.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was crazy times. I sat in my car for hours and I'm like,
wow,
oh my God, where is this going? Are patients going to want us in their home? The world's going to end. Oof. And how are we going to figure this out? The hospitals are closed. We can't even go talk to the people who are sending us business. How are we going to figure this thing out? And, we figured it out. Thank God. But what was the question that you asked me?
Versus numbers, like ones and zeros.
So I don't look at it that way. I never look to lay anyone off. I'm like, how can we increase the revenue? How can we make more money to keep the people on?
Rather than cutting.
Always growing. Growing. The minute you stop growing, you're regressing and the business is dying. A business to be successful has to continue to grow. And what does that mean? You have to continue hiring people. I tell our people in our leadership, if you're not growing and if you're not hiring, we're dying.
Yep. Staying stagnant.
Move or die. So
I get that. All right. Do you have, so if you can, I'm going to get you. Let's see what you say to this one. All right. So if you can travel in time and talk to your younger self, what would be like 1 or 2 pieces of advice you would tell yourself?
1, patience.
Okay.
That's the biggest thing. And I've learned that over the years. I think in my 20s, I wasn't probably very patient.
I'm sure nobody is in their 20s, right?
Nobody is. And the second part, how do you manage your money? And if you start managing your money, if you start making money in your 20s, I started doing very well in my mid 20s. I wish I would have managed my money a lot better. And I'm still working towards it. It's not, I've gotten a lot better. But I wish I would have bought more real estate.
Before it got crazy, before it got Miami. Oh my God. Yeah. Sorry.
And I hear you. Miami is crazy and it's going to continue to be crazy. And, people get stuck with, oh my God, they're so high. The prices are so high. We got to start getting out of that mentality. If you look over 20, 30, 40 years, real estate is up and it's going to continue to go up. And what a house is worth now, 400,000 in 20 years, is going to be worth 600,000, 700,000. So if you get stuck with, I'm not going to buy it because it's too high and you wait for the market, you're never going to buy anything. So you need to start thinking about this because if you look at the history, and I think people don't look at history, the data's there.
Just the now. The now.
It's just the now. They don't understand the history. Read, go back, read articles, understand where we were in the 1920s, 1940s, 1960s, 1980s. And today, you'll understand that real estate's up and it's not going to go down. You might have a recession that happens. You might have the 2008 bubble that happened. But look how fast,
overall,
2008, the world ended, right?
Financial crisis.
Obama takes over the presidency, and in 2 years, we're back up and at 'em, right? We're back where we were, in 2008. In 2012, we started getting back to where we were at, and highs, houses started hitting highs again. So understand history, understand it. But the biggest advice, I would tell my younger self is I would have bought more real estate.
Okay.
Yeah.
So financial literacy. Understanding budgeting, understanding any of that. I didn't start learning that. I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. I wouldn't be as good as I am at it if it wasn't for my mom. My mom works in accounting, so she's always been on my case. See, look,
liabilities,
don't live,
assets.
don't live beyond your means. You know,
Right.
If it wasn't for my mom, I wouldn't know how to do taxes. I wouldn't know I had to get an LLC, a 501c3. Like you said, the business, I'm nowhere near on your scale, and just running a nonprofit and a regular S corp.
Right.
There are so many things like liability insurance, being a trainer. What location am I using? Is there insurance there? Or like, there are so many things that go into running a business that, like you said, it's just trial and error, you know? And I feel like the education system is failing our kids as far as, why can't we learn how to do taxes earlier? You know, like, I'm not really into politics, but somebody in Florida, I don't know, it was a senator or the governor, made it, I think starting next year, like kids, when they graduate high school, they're going to have to know how to do their taxes or something tax related. I'm like, that's amazing.
Yeah, DeSantis passed that, right?
I'm not sure the name. I'm not sure.
I think it was.
I'm not into politics, so like, But Blue showed me that, and I'm like, that's actually something I can get behind.
Absolutely.
You know, like having our school system, public or private, teach you things to better yourself as an adult. Because I feel like school, going back to the college and whether it prepares you or not, I feel like certain aspects of school do not prepare you properly for life. Yeah. Whether you want to go out of high school and go to work directly, or college, whether you have your bachelor's or just your high school degree, I feel like the education system can do a lot more for our younger.
I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to take you back. Remember when you were 18 and you got that first credit card application? And you're like, all right, here we go. And you're
what
like,
are we doing?
What are we doing? Oh my God, they gave me $1,000. How fast did you spend that $1,000?
Nobody tells you.
Nobody tells you.
Stay beneath a third, you know, like the monthly payments.
Did they ever talk to you in high school about that?
No.
Zero.
They
didn't talk to me about it. I got that damn
I got $1,000.
Yeah, I got $1,000. I went over. I had $1,100 spent. I defaulted on the card. You know, I did all that stuff, you know, and they don't teach you. You don't know any better. Yeah. You know, and I think that they shouldn't give you a credit card at 18. I think you should be a little older.
It's a lot of responsibility.
They start getting you into financial trouble. The system is set up for that. Think about that. These banks want you to get in financial trouble and for you to owe them money.
Guys, that is a perfect segue. Thank you, Andy. So I want to read something to you guys. Okay. All right. So according to USA, like this article here in USA Today or something like that. So estimates says that there are 1.5 trillion with a T in student loan debt, which is about 15% of all mortgage debt. However, student loan debt outgrew both auto and credit card debt between 2009 and 2010. Student loan debt is now 70% larger than any credit card debt. Yep. So now, the college business is booming.
It's huge.
It's booming. You know what I'm saying? So why are we here? We're here to show you that you don't have to get in extreme debt to go to college. We're not saying you shouldn't go if you want to, but you don't have to get in such a deep financial burden just to educate yourself on some things that, I'm not trying to discourage professors, but some things you can just learn on your own. Yeah. The power of the internet. Yep. You know, I think what you said earlier, educating yourself, doing your research. Yep. People go into things, they're like, I can't believe this blindsided me. How much homework did you do? Right. Oh, 0. I just trusted this person. Yeah. No, why are you trusting that person?
It's there for you.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Educate yourself, guys. Definitely
I want to make a point to that. And this is for the young listeners that are going to listen to this podcast. You know, that student loan stays with you until you die. You could go to bankruptcy. You can do whatever. You can foreclose on a house, okay? And you can get it off your credit, because I've seen it happen. And you can go to bankruptcy with it and get rid of it. Now with a student loan, they're getting their money.
For life.
For life. And they will garnish your check. And if you don't know what garnishment means, Google the word garnishment, and they'll go to your paycheck and they'll take 30, 40% of your check until they get paid back.
Ouch.
Yeah. So don't default on a student loan. Be careful. Don't take don't do what I did and grab the 5,000 and went to Cancun. Be smart and strategic about using that money. Don't get in debt. I find it fascinating. School teachers, right? They get in debt like $50,000, $70,000
for a job that pays really, but they don't deserve. They deserve way more.
And the system is failing them.
100%.
And it's a shame, because we do need teachers, and I have admiration and appreciation for teachers. But what the system is doing to them is not fair.
It's not. They shouldn't have to fight for their paychecks.
They shouldn't.
It's such an important job.
100%.
And we touched on it a little bit last episode. Besides them not getting paid enough, it's affecting the kids. So it's kind of like you get what you paid for.
Exactly.
So if the quality is going down, what do you think is going to happen to the kids?
Right. Yeah.
Think about it. You're a dad.
Right.
You drop your kids off. You see them morning and night, right?
Mm-hmm.
That gap in the middle is what? Strangers.
Strangers.
Essentially. I'm oversimplifying it. But strangers.
It is.
And
you
these
don't
people
have your values. You don't know.
your kids can come home learning something. You're like, who taught you that? Right. Oh, Miss so-and-so. Right. Like, oh, well, I'm going to talk to Miss so-and-so. Right. You know, so that's a lot of trust you're putting into people in the education system, that if the job paid more, there will be way better teachers in those positions. But Absolutely. There's talented teachers that need to get a different career because it doesn't pay enough. Yeah. For example, I would love to be a high school coach. Because of the pay, I don't think I'll ever do it. And I know it sounds a little shallow, but if you live in Miami, you understand the cost of just to be alive here. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's crazy. You know, it's crazy. I would love to do it, but I got to pay the bills. So I can imagine a teacher feeling the same way. I would love to teach kids, I'm sure. Yeah. But they're like, I'm going to have to do like this random accounting job or this desk job because it pays a lot more than the teaching. Yeah. So they can't do their passion because of the system. Like you said.
My friend Lenny, he's like a brother to me, and he's my brother's best friend. He was a teacher for like, it was 8 or 9 years. He's like, no, I can't do this anymore. And became a mortgage broker and has one of the biggest mortgage broker firms here in Miami, and has done well. But he had to get away from teaching because it just wasn't cutting, making ends meet.
I get that. Yeah. 100%. So before we exit out, is there any specific piece of advice you want to give the young viewers? Maybe going from high school to college or in college? Anything?
Well, I think I go back to patience with and understanding the process that you're going through, right? And taking the process and valuing the process, embracing the process, good or bad, because that is your process. Right. And that's going to get you to your destiny. But if you don't understand the process, you refuse to understand the process, and you keep living in the past with those L's, then you're never going to move forward. Mm-hmm. And that's my advice to, keep on the process. You're going to have a lot of failure, but the good times are coming. And you're going to have some good times, and then you're going to fail again. But that's life. Life is not this straight trajectory. Oh, no. Straight up. It's this up and down, up and down, up and down thing. And some days are good. Some days are great. And you're going to have some bad ones. The bad ones are inevitable. Everyone's going to have a bad day. One day you're going to get a call that your mom passed away, like I did. One day you're going to get, your father passed away. Something terrible is going to happen. And we got to be ready for that. And that's just part of life. Yeah.
I think you touched on one last topic, and then we'll finish on that. Compartmentalizing. Yep. Not letting your life bleed on to other aspects of your life. So for example, when I was younger, I had a very tough time in controlling my temper and my mouth. Right. So because I was going through textbook daddy issues, I was going through personal things that I had every right to be upset, but I was bleeding over other aspects of my life. So I was acting out in school. I was acting out with teachers. I was acting out with coaches, like any kind of authoritative figure. I was kind of challenging them, textbook daddy issues, and just going through certain things. And I think compartmentalizing is a skill, and understanding, like, even if my girlfriend and I have a huge fight, I'm going to go to work and I'm going to handle my job, and I'm not going to be rude to my clients just because I had an argument with my girlfriend, or someone was super rude to me before I got off the car. And then now I'm going to be mad the whole day. So my personal advice to younger viewers would be, get better at compartmentalizing. So even if one person F's you over or something happens, deal with that and be however you want towards that person, but don't let that affect other relationships, I would say.
Yeah, and I think, to end, but I think young people, and I think people in general, like to use crutches on certain things.
Excuses for
excuses. Something. And I think we're a society full of excuses. And for the life of me, I don't understand it. Take accountability. Yep. Take ownership of what's going on. And if you can do that, life is gonna, you're gonna figure life out. But I see and I see it across the board. And sometimes I'm guilty of it, right? We're all guilty of it. But one of the things I try to focus in on as much, stop with the excuses, stop with the blame. Like you said, it's over here, it's over with. Yeah. I gotta go do something else. I gotta focus. I can't take my personal life into my business because my business will suffer, right? Yeah. So same exact thing.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. I appreciate all the time you put in here, guys. So make sure to check out the information below. Follow the roads. All right. Follow Andy personally. He has a lot of information to give you guys. All right. In real estate or just in life in general. All right. As far as 31 Vision, check us out on 31vision.org. All right. We got all our social platforms there.
One last thing. I gotta make a donation here to 31 Vision. Anybody got a pen?
Oh, man. Nice. Wow.
Here you go.
Thank you so much. Whoa, that's a great surprise, man. Yeah. Thank you, bro. I appreciate you, man. Wow. Thank you so much, bro. Yeah, so you can donate on 31vision.org. Follow us on social platforms. Definitely like and subscribe, guys. We got a lot more content coming out for you. All right, appreciate you guys. All right, just tune in next time. Awesome, bro. This is so great.
You go, my man.
Oh my God. Thank you, man.
problem,
Thank you
bro.
so much, bro.
No problem.
Wow. Wow, man.
Thank you for
Got it
having
here
me.
first, bro. Altruism at its best.
Yeah.